Hey everyone, this is Jen and you're watching BPD Woman. Today I had planned to release a video that I've already recorded and edited and that is ready to go on YouTube, but I have decided that I am going to record this video, put this video up today, and release the other video in a few days, which is in response to a viewer suggestion. So Sarah, your video is done, it's coming. But I want to capitalize on something that happened today because oftentimes the best times to explore, look at and examine BPD, emotion dysregulation, and a bunch of other things that may go on in that moment is to do it the moment or day that it's happened. And so today a situation like that has come up. And so I want to talk about it with you, and it has a lot of interesting aspects. So stay tuned because we are going to talk about what disrespect looks like. And we're going to talk about what happens when someone else's perfectionism and anxiety comes into your realm, when they start pushing their stuff, for lack of a better word, onto you, and how that can make you feel if you have borderline personality disorder. And, how do you discern whether what they're saying and doing and acting out on has something to do with you? Do you take the blame? Do you often feel like if a relationship goes wrong, it's your fault? Do you feel like something always must come down to it having to do with your borderline rather than any other explanation? And it's important to look at these types of interactions and dynamics because if you look at it in a negative or ineffective way and you don't stand up for yourself, and you don't have boundaries, and you don't have self-esteem, and you don't know what shit smells like, then you're gonna get stuck down into your borderline because it's going to keep wearing out on you, on your self-esteem. It's not going to make you feel masterful. It's not going to make you feel recovered. You're going to spend, your days and your weeks and your months and your years of your life apologizing and trying to fit into someone else's mold. Why? Because that's what we do, right? Either we want to be liked, we want to be validated, and we want people to approve of us. Of course, approval for everyone, regardless whether you have a mental illness or a personality disorder, or whether you're just Joe Schmo on the street. Everybody wants approval. That's just human nature. But if you are borderline or you have CPTSD or a highly emotional person, those stakes could be even higher for you. And so you put on top of that trying to appease everyone or, make every problem come down to your responsibility, then you aren't going to see much recovery. And so I want to talk today about owning what's yours and letting other people own what's theirs, and what thanks but no thanks looks like, and what sorry, not sorry looks like. So let's start talking about what happened to me today. And I'm going to use a lot of text messages to highlight my points. And not only that, I am going to do a flip version of events, highlighting how I interact with another client or person and almost in the exact same manner, and how much more positively that turned out. And it's important that I highlight that for you so that you can see that when you do the exact same thing or have the exact same intent or use the exact same words, it may really work with one person, but another person may have a different reaction. And the point and the goal that I want to demonstrate here is that it's not all about your BPD and you're not a bad person. So let's get going. My name's Jen, you're watching BPD Woman. You know the drill. Like, subscribe, comment below. You're in the right place if you have BPD, CPTSD, or highly sensitive, and I offer positive solution-based approaches to recovery. And today we're going to use a real-world example, and I'm going to be throwing up a lot of screenshots. So as I go throughout this video, please, send us some comments below. Other people will gather strength off of them And, for me too, I mean, just the other day, someone posted, a new subscriber, she or he posted, and I was like, wow, I had never thought of it that way. Like, that's a great point. So I don't have all the answers, guys. I just have my answers from my experience. So I have a business. I have a pet sitting business, and I got out of the corporate world. I've only been running my business for the last 2.5 years now. So fairly young business. And I left the corporate world after working in the corporate world for about 20 years because it was just really soul sucking, and it caused me a lot of anxiety, and it made it harder for me with my BPD and my emotional dysregulation. And I wasn't happy. Bottom line, I didn't really care about what I was doing. I didn't really like what I was doing. I didn't like the people that I worked with. I hated the bullshit and the nonsense and the yes sir, yes ma'am, and like just the wearing the fake mask. That was never me. And so I'm really happy with what I'm doing now. And I made a promise to myself, and I put this promise in my calendar every day. And that promise says that I will only do things anymore that have a greater return of happiness than of sadness or anxiety, meaning that I won't engage or put up with a situation for very long if I'm starting to see that it's causing me more stress than it is happiness. I certainly didn't leave the corporate world to start my own business to, essentially work for people or have clients that I don't like, or that are jerks, or that don't appreciate me. And I have a few, pretty simple rules about what I look for in a client, and they're pretty simple. It's like, pay me on time, be respectful, and say thank you. I mean, just be a good person. And honestly, like, I live off of just every now and then, thank you. Like, that's great. I really appreciate that. And most of my clients do that. I have reoccurring clients. So that's clients that I see Monday through Friday. And then I have clients that I see every now and then. But almost all of them, after I have sent them a very thorough report card and videos and collages and all this other kind of stuff, I get a thank you. And usually I get a thank you with like 4 exclamation points, They love my pictures, So that's great. Like, that's all I need. And I understand if somebody can't do that every day, or you miss a day, or you do it once a week, but how hard is it to say thank you in a text, right? It's not. So the time that it takes you to sit down and take a piss, you could have said thank you. Okay. Anyway, so I'm just trying to lead us into this. Now, I was married at one point, and very early on in my marriage, we're since divorced. I got married very young, like at 23 or 24. Yes, that's really young. And he was a bit older than me, about 10 years older. And at one point he said something to me like, Jen, you only always tell me the bad stuff. You never tell me the good stuff. I'm always hearing complaints. I'm always hearing negativity. And I'm about 15, 20 years out now from hearing that from him. And I don't remember exactly when or where we were, but that he said that, and it stuck with me. And it stuck with me because he's right. I was telling him all the bad stuff. I was taking my complaints to him. And that reason is multifaceted. I think one of the reasons that I complained so much to him, and that sometimes why I complain now, is because I was looking for somebody to validate me. Like, hey, will you take a look at this and make sure that, like, I'm on par with my interpretation, and that this person really is a jerk. Like, could you check this box and say that I'm okay in my interpretation? I don't do that as much now. I try to curb my positivity, because what you feed yourself is what will grow. So if you focus on the positive, your positive will grow. If you focus on the negative and the negative thoughts, those will occupy more of your mind. That's just basics, okay? So I thought of that. And at one point in my ex-husband and I's therapy session, we were marriage counseling, our therapist at the time said something that a person needs to hear 7 positive, good things. So either compliments or stories or laughs or jokes, to every one negative, mean, complaining thing. okay? They need to hear a ratio of 7 good things to 1 for them to feel that things are balanced. Or they need to hear 7 good things about something that they're doing right to every 1 thing that they might be doing wrong or incorrectly. And this is just proven. This is a study, feel free to look this up on your own. So I've kept this in my mind, and, I make sure that, if I have something that I need to say in one of my clients' report cards, that, I keep it like this, and I keep the positive stuff like this, and then I really layer on like everything that I liked about the visit. And my goal is never to shame, it's to inform, if I have to say, inform a client about something. So anyway, so I have this client, and she was a referral of a client that I've had for about 2.5 years now. So I've had this one client like a really long time. And after about 1.5 years of sitting for their dog when they went on vacations, they referred me to the wife's sister. So it was a married couple that I see their dog, and they have a couple of children, and they have one dog. And the one of the siblings of this couple that who's been a client of mine for 2.5 years, referred me to their sister, and she got this dog. So in a nutshell, I've been seeing this client and this dog since November. So, 6 months or something like that. And at first it was once a week, and then it was, we got up to 3 days a week, and now she's wanted me to start coming, she's wanted me to start coming every single day. And that's great. That's more income for me. My business is picking up. The economy's picking up. Wonderful. That's exactly the kind of stuff that I want to see and I want to happen. So I've been feeling really good lately. Like, a lot of positive things have been happening, like with my business. And so, and this client, for all intents and purposes, has been very happy with me. She gave me a big tip at Christmas time. But I've noticed, since she's working from home mostly still, it's funny, most of you probably have seen in person your coworkers less and less, your clients less and less. I've actually had more interaction with humans during the pandemic, primarily because a lot of my clients are working from home. And so normally, a year ago, where they would be at work and I wouldn't see them, and I'd come in, I'd walk the dog, I'd send the report, and we'd almost have no day-to-day interaction. Sometimes I wouldn't see them for a month or 2 at a time, sometimes longer. Now I see them very frequently. And so when you're interacting with somebody every single day, more and more comes out about their personality and who they are. And this woman that I was referred to, I would just say, in a nutshell, very high-strung, very anxious. I mean, these are things that she's admitted to me, lots of social anxiety. She got this dog, and like, this dog is trained like to the tilt. I mean, this dog is just, I've never seen a dog trained so well like this. It has some issues, but it's a dog, it barks at other dogs. It does dog stuff, but this dog's really come a long way, and she's invested a lot of time and energy. But now it's going into the obsessive compulsive. And now she wants to do this board and train. And I tried to give my opinion about that several weeks ago. And she said, because board and trains are not very, they're very controversial. And a board and train essentially is where you send your dog away to a stranger for 2 weeks or more. They don't come home. And a lot of intimidation and fear-based training happens at those board and trains. I just simply am not behind them whatsoever. And even if they weren't fear-based, you need to train your own dog. It's no good to have a stranger do it. If a dog's not going to listen to a stranger, why the hell would it listen to you? So when I tried to bring this up, and she had started the conversation about this board and train, she said, "I'm not looking for any opinions. My decision is final. Thanks." That's what she said. And I was like, wow, okay, well, I'm going to get the fuck out of here. In my head, I was like, okay, well, bye. That was several weeks ago. And then, you know, over time, I've just seen more and more behavior come out. She really hates a couple of people in the neighborhood, but from the interactions that I've had with these people in the neighborhood, I've found nothing wrong with them. I think they're, you know, you should make your own impressions and of other people. You know, you shouldn't let someone else's opinion replace you making your own on someone or something. And then just some other weird behavior started coming out, you know, and then over the last 3 weeks or so, I have gotten, I think, one thank you in a text. One thank you in about 3 weeks' time. And so just over the course of me seeing some of this behavior and her being rude to me and you know, the things that she's had to say about her own, excuse me, mental health issues, I have felt more and more on edge. And this is now starting, you know, in the back of my mind. This has been percolating for maybe about a month or so. It's been percolating in my mind that, okay, this is starting not to be very fun for me. This is starting to be stressful for me. Like, I am in a job that I want to have a good time and it should be fun. And, you know, like, it shouldn't be cumbersome and burdensome. Well, you know, so I've kept this in the back of my mind. And, you know, about a month or so ago, whenever this happened, where she put her hand up in my face, like, I'm not looking for any opinions. You know, I was really upset by that. And I actually watched another YouTuber's channel, and I put this situation out to him about what had happened. And he wrote back very nicely, and he was like, wow, Jenny's like, this client was beyond rude to you. He was like, if you want to keep her as a client, I would recommend just like, you know, no chit chat, like everything's just business. And that's what I've been doing, you know, no long drawn out conversations. So that's what I've been doing. In, out, here it is, this is that. Okay. So even though that's what I've been doing lately, her obsession about certain things has become weird, and I'm going to tell you about what happened. So, and again, as you listen to this, I want you to remember that everything in life, what happens to you, what people say, how they interact, is not because of your BPD. It's called being a human. It's called just humanity. It's called life. Not everything, okay? And if you have a reaction to someone, or you have a strong feeling about something that's happened to you, or if your stomach starts to do flip-flops, or if your heart has butterflies, that's not your BPD. That is you being a human being, okay? And the thing where the BPD comes in is that the feeling that you feel is more intense. You feel it for longer. It can be on a bigger scale. And sometimes your responses to that situation can be inappropriate because you can not have great impulse control, and you can act out on those emotions. And that's where a lot of the trouble with borderline can come in. You know, you act out, and then it's like this just spiral of, you know, shame, bad decision making, or ineffective decision making, you know, quick judgments, things that you say that you don't mean, and next thing you know, you're like, oh my God, what the hell happened? But when can you ascertain, like, okay, am I the cause of this issue? Am I handling this appropriately? You know, did I do the best thing? And that answer lies in a lot of different responses. However, the thing for me now, when I think, okay, am I making a split decision, is that the decision that I came to today, and we're going to get to it. I know this is a bit of a long introduction here, but I have been thinking about this for some time. It's been at least a month or two. And I never try to make a split decision. I try to sleep on my things that I want, or that either sometimes I'm ruminating about. I come back to important decisions. I don't make them when I'm very tired. I don't make them when I'm really pissed off. I don't make my decisions when I'm really sad, right? Because that's impulse control. And if you're doing that more and more, holding on to those impulses, well, congratulations, you're moving forward in your BPD. So even today, I came over and again, I'm not exaggerating. I looked it up in my phone. In the last 2 to 3 weeks, I've had one thank you in a text message. Because mostly she just sits down in her office area and I don't even see her the days that I walk in. Sometimes I don't see her all week. So anyway, I'm on the walk with the dog and I'm about 20 minutes into the visit and, we're having a good time. We're taking pictures. We're doing the normal things. And by the way, like my report cards and my videos and my pictures, they're dope. Like I'm so thorough. Like you are going to be scrolling. If you got a report card from me, you'd be scrolling because it's just like so long. Okay. So I'm just trying to demonstrate that I'm very thorough and reliable. I don't call out, I just try to do my job and be there for people. So, at some point today, and I've been out with this owner and her dog, and sometimes the dog like rolls around and, as dogs do. And today, the dog like rolled around in a bush, and I let him do it for a minute. I was like, okay, let's go. And, when I went down to pet him, I suddenly smelled shit. And the dog had rolled in shit. And it was all down my sweatshirt, not this sweatshirt, all down my sweatshirt. It was on the side of his face. It was like on his paws. And so I texted the owner right away. I was like, hey, listen, and I'm going to start reading these. Okay, well, I'll stop there. That's sort of like the intro here about what happens, why it's important that we discuss this in relation to your BPD, and let's take it back a notch. So even though I haven't heard a thank you in several weeks, I've been getting a lot of critical texts and okay, well, let's read them. So this came about a week ago. I'm in the blue, she's in the gray. Thanks, Jen. Also, I have one request. Could you please stop giving blank biscuits from the jar that is on the corner by the pool? He's become really stubborn and expects one now every time we are near it. So I want to wean him off of that expectation. Thank you. So I wrote, sure thing, thanks. Sure thing, thanks. So, okay, so there's this they live like this, community, lots of townhomes, condos, houses. And one of the neighbors puts like this really cute jar out by her patio door, and it's got a bunch of dog treats in it. And so like the dogs want to go and get one. And so, she's done all of this training with her dog. I haven't even done as much training with my dog as she's done. It's like, well, if you don't want your dog to like linger over by a treat, distract him, reward him with something else, call his name and go the other way. Stop being a weak ass parent. I don't know why this is hard. Hey, no, let's go. Come on. Good boy. And then you praise them when they do the thing that you want. Okay. But I'm like, okay. Even then I was like, okay, this is a bit much, like, fine. So then earlier in the week, she did, this is the time that she thanked me in the last 3 weeks. And, I had sent my report card. And she wrote, this is back on Monday, I think. What is today? Wednesday. She wrote, thank you. Even though I haven't been upstairs recently, when you've been here, I can really hear blank's joy when you come in, meaning the dog's really happy to see me. He really loves you and I appreciate you so much. And then I wrote back, oh, and now I'm thinking, okay, this is great. Like she's being positive. And so I loved her comments and I wrote, oh, doesn't this just make my day? Thank you so much. And I appreciate you for letting me take care of him. Okay. So that was 2 days ago. So today we had the incident outside. And again, I remind you, that's the one thank you I've had in the last 3 weeks. So this is me in blue. So Blank was just sniffing and started to roll around briefly. And when he came back up, I realized he had rolled around in dog poop. It's all over the one side of his face and his paw. I'm going to come back right now and give him a sponge bath real quick. Do you have any special soap or can I use the stuff that's in the kitchen? And then I wrote, sorry, sometimes he rolls around and it's nothing, but today it was poop, but I don't know why. This has never happened. I've been seeing the dog 6 months and this has never happened. She goes, I have some baby soap for him. I can bathe him in the tub. So I get back to the house. I'll stop there. I get back to the house and, I've got him and she comes upstairs and she puts her mask on. And I'm laughing because we're both vaccinated and we've both been vaccinated for over a month now. So we both have immunity. So why the fuck are we wearing our masks? I mean, first of all, that defies common sense. We're both vaccinated. Why are we wearing masks inside? We can't. Okay. But second of all, like, even if, that doesn't make sense, it is what the CDC recommends. The CDC recommends even that I'm vaccinated and I can be in a house with someone else that I don't know who's not vaccinated and we can both not wear masks. Okay, whatever. So I come back in and she's got a mask and, she's like, oh, okay, well, where is it? And I could just kind of feel like this fake interaction. And she's not old. She's actually younger than I am. She's probably about 6, 7, 8 years younger than I am. And I was like, let me do it. Like, I can do it, and one of my services is I give a dog bath. I give dog baths to people, to clients, to people's dogs. And, I do basic grooming and I do basic nail clips and like, I've done it lots of times. I bring my own supplies. And so I at least offered 5 times. I was like, oh, let me do it. I don't want it to get in his eye. Like, even though like this really wasn't my fault. Like I wasn't like, hey, go roll around that dog shit, but I felt bad. It's disgusting. Like she's in the middle of a work day. I'm trying to do the right thing. I do give baths as part of my service. So I was like, please, like, I offered 5 times. She's like, oh no, it's fine. I've got this, like everything was like hunky dory. Okay. And then she came back, I was like cleaning myself up and I was like still discovering like where all of this poop was. And I still had 2 other clients to go see and it was really cold today. So I couldn't take off my sweatshirt. So I had to go to other clients with all this poop that I could smell. I mean, I was wearing shit and it's like, okay, but that's what happens. So as I realized this and I sent her the report card, which by the way, she didn't thank me again for the report card. She didn't thank me for anything, And I wrote to her, I was like, if it makes you feel any better, or at least provides you with a laugh, it looks like I gave Blank a hug before realizing what happened and it's all over my sweatshirt, meaning there's poop. And then she put like 2, emojis. And then I wrote, LOL, all part of the job. So now I'm at my other client. Maybe it's like less than 20, 25 minutes since I just saw her in person where she took the dog and waved off all of my free baths. Excuse me, I've been talking a lot today. I get another critical text. For future walks, I ask that he not roll around on the ground anymore. I know it wasn't intentional, but people unfortunately do not clean their dog's poop and we just don't know what's on the ground. Usually when he tries to roll in it, it's because something disgusting is or was there. Also, Blank just got bathed and groomed on Sunday. Thanks. Okay. So then I replied, I do my best. And then I used her name. I said, I do my best. Dogs sometimes will just be dogs. I have 2 more clients and I'm walking around with poop all over me, so it wasn't ideal for me either. Then I wrote, I seem to be letting you down quite a bit lately. Are you sure you'd like me to keep walking him? Because now what I'm experiencing with her, and let's go back up to her message. For future walks. Okay. What do you guys think of this message? You know, for me, first of all, we don't even know that the dog rolled around in dog poop. It could have been fox. There's lots of foxes where we live. It could have been a deer. It could have been any kind of poop. We have no idea what it was exactly, right? It could, who knows? Who knows what it is, right? So it's like, you know, here's one more thing that it's like, don't let him roll around on the ground. It's like, okay, well, she's let him roll around the ground when she and I have been on walks together. So suddenly now this is like a thing. And, you know, then she's throwing in this guilt trip by saying also he just got bathed and groomed on Sunday. So basically she's trying to tell me, this is how I interpret it, you've fucked up my grooming. You've wasted our money. Look at the problem you're causing for me. Okay. Okay. So what I do in my responses, I do my best I can. I have 2 more clients I'm walking around with. It's not ideal for me either. I'm letting you down. Are you sure you want me to keep walking the dog? You know, these are facts, you know. I do my best. In fact, I think you would be hard pressed to find someone more attentive. Dogs will be dogs. They're animals. He's not a robot. Go get a goldfish if you want something to just do one thing all day, okay? I did have other clients, you know, and I was walking around with poop. I'm like, I didn't get a bath. I can't take off my sweatshirt, right? So how about that? You know? And then I wrote, you know, I seem to be letting you down quite a bit lately. Are you sure you'd like me to keep walking him? Which is basically to say, you know, you've had a lot of complaints lately, you know? And it's like, these are blown up things. Like, in 6 months, has your dog ever come back in something dirty? You know? No. Like, could you, instead of going to some extreme and saying, no more walks on the ground, no more, like, okay, what if the dog just decides to roll down on the ground sometimes? What do you want me to do? Pick him up? I mean, like, I do my best, but it's like, you know what I'm saying? So there was like no even grace, you know, of, you know, I know you always do well. You know, she even said something in here like, I know it wasn't intentional. Well, why would you even need to say that? Are you implying in some way that it could have been? Okay. So then she really starts to go off. Okay. This is what she says. I'm communicating my needs and expectations that have changed over time. I am not intending to be personal or imply that you are letting me down. From my perspective, it has only been 2 things that I've asked to change. No more biscuits and no rolling. I don't think I'm being unreasonable. And I will continue to communicate any other changes when they come up. So here's what I'm hearing. I will continue to be difficult. And I am probably going to be more difficult. And I'm difficult. I mean, the extents to which this woman has gone on training, like, you know, there have been days where she, like, I come in the door and she's crying. She's like, oh, it's such a hard week. It was such a hard week with him. And I'm like, I don't have any problems with this dog. I'm like, you know, I have, like, she has talked about several times that he's going to have to go to another home. She's going to have to get rid of him. He's only like a year old. She's only had the dog a year, you know? And it's kind of sad, like, there must be at least 20 pictures of her dog, of her old dog that passed away, all over her apartment or condo or whatever it is. But no pictures of the new dog. Isn't that sad? So, you know, this whole, over the last 4 or 5 months, I've been like, well, if you don't like the dog, get rid of him. And, you know, then I'm thinking, like, you're making a mountain out of a molehill. Like, there's nothing really wrong with this dog. You know, maybe you just don't have the balls for this dog. Like, maybe this isn't a good fit. Like, go get a goldfish, you know, or some 15-year-old poodle. Okay. So then, I'm at my other client and I'm seeing, and I'm having a nice time. I'm like petting this other dog as I'm getting her messages. And I keep like, I'm like, I was going to write her like this really like lengthy retort. And I was going to like say this. And I was like rewriting this thing like 3 or 4 or 5 times. And I was like, nope. At this point, I was like, this is causing me too much anxiety. The anxiety and the problems have been building for the last several months. She just told me she's going to continue to be communicative, which really means passive aggressive, kind of nasty, hypercritical, pushing her perfectionism and her OCD on me. And so then I thought, okay, what am I going to do? Well, I want to be professional. I want to make sure my name looks good at the end of this. I do not want to engage in a fight. I do not want to go tit for tat. I don't want to really tell her how I feel about her. So all I wrote back was, I was scheduled to work Thursday and Friday. She'd already paid me. And I wrote, I'm going to refund you the money for Thursday and Friday. And she wrote back, to cancel the walks? And I wrote, yes. I don't really want to get in a long conversation. And she goes, all right. And then I wrote, just so she knows that this is the last. Not only will I not be coming back this week, but I will not coming back in future weeks. I have felt disrespected a few times over the last few months, and I feel a bit on edge, even though I've provided what I think is exemplary service. I offered to give you a free bath today. That wasn't good enough. Dogs will be dogs. I guess I thought we had had enough trust that you trust that I do my best. But there have been several instances where you've been quite rude to me, and I don't seem to hear many thank yous anymore. I don't like to feel bad or anxious when I go to my job, and I don't feel that way with other clients, and that's true. You said you were probably going to put him in board and train or possibly rehome him, and that was coming up in May. So I think this is probably the best time schedule-wise anyway, right? So how do we think I did with that message? I told her that I felt disrespected. And, part of the reason that I'm going into this lengthier explanation for her here is because I don't want this to be, if that's all I said, I'm refunding you and I'm out, that looks like to her. And if she were to show me these text messages or explain the situation, to me, that looks like somebody who just cut and run. Somebody was like throwing a little tantrum and I don't like what you said and I'm going to leave. Right. And I don't want it to be perceived. So I'm going into a little bit of detail here, to tell her this has been going on for me for months. I have felt disrespected. I know that I do a great job. So here I'm validating myself, right? I offered to give you a free bath, which is in response to the 5 times that she denied the bath, and in retort to her saying that he just got groomed on Sunday. It's like, well, I just told you I'd make up for it. Like, so why are you, harping on it and being a martyr if you're turning down my make good? Dogs will be dogs. Yes, they will. I thought we had built up trust. I thought we had. I'm giving her facts. I don't hear many thank yous. I don't like to feel anxious when I go to my job. That's true. That's why I got out of the corporate world. And that I don't feel this way with other clients, which I do not. And she also said that beginning in May, the dog was going to be gone anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks, which is a long time for me to keep my calendar open for her without her paying fairly. And that she might rehome him anyway. So, as my business starts to get busier with the economy opening up and people going back to work, I'm not going to, this seems like a good breaking point, and she goes, all right, I'm sorry I made you feel that way. The end. So let's just, I've broken this down a little bit, but what do you guys think? Do you guys think that she's sorry? Do you think that she really cares if she hurt my feelings? Do you think that she I mean, clearly she didn't expect the outcome where, she was like, to cancel the walks. Like, well, yeah. What did you expect? Like she just went on blast, and I was just like, whoa, 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 So it's like, for me, now her perfectionism and anxiety, it's starting to come onto me, and her expectations, which I can tell you right now, I'm sure that that other people in her life deal with this with her. Her expectations for others and for self are over the top. They're not attainable. And if they're not attainable, that means you're doomed always to fail. And so I like to feel like I've pleased a client, or that I've done a good job, or that they're happy. And if she doesn't feel happy, and she never will feel happy if I can't attain her goals, then I'm kind of in a no-win situation. So when she says, and I'm looking at my notes here, when she says, like, I will continue to say this, I'm hearing her behavior is going to get worse. And it already has. I mean, just in the last month or two, it's been escalating. And so it's like, okay, what's it going to be like in another month or two? Think about this too. If we're talking about people are being passive aggressive, and I've done a video about passive aggressive behavior, and I've also done a video about asserting yourself, and I will put those links up. She could have said all of this to me when I was at the house, right? She decided to text all of this after I had left and wasn't in front of her anymore, and she decided to put it in writing. So what does that tell you? Well, to me, if only 20 minutes later she had a full-fledged, flushed out concept of what she was going to say, then she probably already had that pretty well outlined in her head when I was standing in front of her, and she didn't talk about it to my face. Nope, she played pretend, she played nice. Oh, come on, buddy, let's go downstairs. She denied my request for help literally 5 times. I said I would go wash the dog. Nope. Probably, even if I had, I wouldn't have done a good enough job for the dog anyway. So, she didn't have the balls to say it to my face. So, I mean, there you go. That's another thing. Note also in her messages how she went on and on about her needs and how she's not unreasonable. And the thing was that while she is saying how important it is for her needs to be communicated, she wasn't interested in hearing about my needs. She wasn't interested in my feedback, and hasn't been for several times that I can think off of the top of my head, and I'm sure I could think of many more if I really put pen to paper. But why bother? Also, note the use of her word thanks and thanks exclamation point. So there's a big difference between thank you very much, and thanks, or thanks. Thanks exclamation point is very passive aggressive in itself, because first of all, you don't say thank you unless someone has agreed to something, right? Could you please do this? Yes, I will. Thank you, right? She's having this whole conversation by herself, and it's not the first time that she's used thanks exclamation point. Okay, so and notice too how quickly her tone escalated. I'm interested. Let me hear your thoughts. My point here is that I started to feel a little dysregulated in this situation, because I thought, okay, this is my fault maybe. I'm overreacting. And then I thought, you know what? I'm not crying. I'm feeling dysregulated, but it's because of these continued interactions with her that I'm feeling dysregulated. I'm going to take that out of my life. I can find the money elsewhere. I will make the money elsewhere. I can do whatever I need to do, but I'm not going to feel anxious. There's just no goddamn way. There's just not a goddamn way. And so I thought, okay, have you thought this through? Yes, I had thought this through for a while. And I felt good about who I was. And so that's how I knew I wasn't making a split decision, jumping to conclusion, dysregulated type of thought process, you know? And I want to now give you a quick comparison of how I interacted with another client today who we had to kind of share information back and forth, and how positively that interaction went, so that you can see that my approach and how I generally talk and resolve things with people in these types of situations has really been working. And that's this. Okay, so, before we go on, by the way, the last thing here, she goes, I'm sorry I made you feel that way. That, I literally feel absolutely no remorse or sincerity in that response. There's nothing there. Like, I'm sorry I made you feel that way. How about, I'm sorry that I haven't thanked you. I'm sorry that I've been so critical. I'm sorry, like, be specific. Like, if someone's just like, sorry, thanks, you know, like, do you feel really thanked? Or do you feel really like someone has apologized if they're just like, sorry or thanks? Or do you feel really appreciated when somebody like gives you details, like, thank you so much for your care. I always feel that he's so safe with you, you know, or I'm sorry that, you know, I hurt your feelings. I've had a lot going on. Like, would you please reconsider? I mean, I didn't want her to say, would you reconsider? But I'm just giving examples of like some other things that like she could have said. She didn't care, please. She's happy. She can go try to find somebody who's gonna, you know, make all her dreams come true. I mean, it hasn't happened. And I'm sure I'm not the first person that this has happened to with her. So I have another client, and I haven't seen the dog in a while. So I'm getting to know the dog again, mostly because of the pandemic, and he was a puppy when I first met him, and now he's a bit bigger, obviously. And so the owner wanted me to use just his collar and not the harness that I'm used to wearing. So I walked him yesterday, and she was like, oh, by the way, you don't really use the harness anymore. You can just use the collar. I was like, no problem. So we were on a walk today. I saw the dog twice again today. So once yesterday, twice today. And the collar, it fit fine, but it kept kind of loosening. And at one point, and this is a big dog, like this is probably a 100-pound dog, he saw another dog, and we were in the middle of a crosswalk in the middle of a street, and he sat down on the ground, and he wouldn't move, and he's pulling back, and so like the collar, you know how it goes, the collar starts to come up above his ears. So during my report card, I told the owner, I said, hey, by the way, the leash was about to come off. I'm holding his tags. You know, if it were to come off, what if he ran away into the street? I know that you said his harness was a bit snug, but I would like to use it on this evening. It's better that it be a bit snug, which honestly, I like how leashes and harnesses are snug, so I make sure that dogs are safe. I just don't feel comfortable just walking him in his leash. Please let me know what you think. I said, I'm also happy to hear your feedback on how you're redirecting him or working with him. So in this message, I'm telling her my concerns. I'm also telling her that, you know, I don't feel comfortable. I know it was her request, but I don't feel comfortable facilitating that request because it could be a safety issue for me. And if a dog gets lost on my watch, then it's my ass and it's my reputation, and I don't want to I don't want to deal with that. So, you know, I asked her if it was okay. Could I please use the harness? Let me see what she says, you know. I asked her to please let me know what you think. Give me some feedback. And this was her reply. Hi, Jen. Thank you for the sweet photos. They always make my day. Isn't the dynamic between the dog and the cat so interesting? The cat doesn't care, just lets him do this thing. Totally fine to use the harness tonight and in the future. The not moving when he sees another dog is definitely something I'm still working on. I'm sorry about that. I'm glad he was having a good time and that he was tired when he got back. He'll be so happy to see you later. So what a great reply, right? Positive, right? She's thanking me. She was like, I love what you're doing. She's giving me positives. Remember that 7-1, right? And she goes, tonight and in the future. So she's saying, hey, we're really happy with you and we want you to come back. Then And she also apologized, and she didn't need to apologize. There's nothing. So I wrote back, hey, I said, thank you for the message. I'm really happy to know the photos bring sunshine to your workday. Haha, yes, I was talking about the cat there. I said, thank you for being flexible and allowing me to use the harness. It will make me feel better. My greatest fear on the job is I would ever lose an animal. So I'm telling her that like his safety is important to me, the dogs. I wouldn't want the owners to ever feel devastated by the loss of a pet. And I say, you have nothing to apologize for. If there are ever any commands or things that you'd like me to do to reinforce what you guys are training, please let me know and I'll make sure that I do. So she loved the message, as you can see. So look at how great that interaction went, right? I had to tell her something. I opened up a dialogue. She replied back. We had a nice, that's what the conversation is. It's a volley, right? And then I saw the dog again in the evening. We had another wonderful visit. So, and she was very happy. So see how that interaction happened, right? Now, I've been doing my business 2.5 years, and this client, the second one, she has been a client almost from the very beginning. So have many of my clients. Many of my clients, I've been servicing them for 2 or 2.5 years. So if they thought that I was difficult, or if they thought that I wasn't doing a good job, they wouldn't have me around, right? And of course, not everyone's going to keep me around forever, and I'm not going to keep every client forever, and certainly things change. But you can see from these two different interactions that I was the common denominator, but there were two different outcomes with two different people. And why do you think that is? And what I want to highlight here to you again, this person that was being hypercritical of me today about the dog bath and all of that, this had nothing to do with me. You know, one of the best rules of life that you can try to live by is don't take anything personally. Think about everything that you did today. Think about what you said to people. Think about if you made a look, or you had a judgment, or you made a face, okay? Or you made a phone call, or you sent a text, or whatever. How much of that had to do with you? And how much of that had to do with the other person? Almost 99% of what we do has to do with us, which means that when we're doing it to other people, it's not personal. And so in most of these situations in my life, and it took a long time for me to get there, I'm like, I don't take this personally. I don't take it personally. I just don't take it personally. And what I want to also highlight to you today, and what I did here, is I showed you what disrespect looks like. I showed you what gaslighting looks like. I showed you what sorry, not sorry looks like. Thanks, but not thanks looks like. And I showed you that I still went on to have a pretty regulated day, getting everything that I needed to get done. You know, I didn't create destruction. I didn't cry. I stood my ground. I kept my boundaries, and it went great, you know? And so I know this was a pretty long video, but I really, it's important that you see this in real action, because if you are struggling thinking that every situation or relationship or interaction goes south and you think it's because of you, well, it's not. It's just not. My name's Jen. You've been watching BPD Woman. Please like, share, subscribe. And until I see you next time, please be effective. Bye-bye.